you have been praised in your handling of the pandemic, and it's interesting to hear you saying you failed in terms of the military. But while there are many Pakistanis who still support you, you're hugely popular, a lot of Pakistanis say, hold on, when you were in government, you were fine with the military. You say none of this stuff has happened before, but you locked up opposition leaders, you locked up journalists, you cracked down on the press, and now you're getting upset that the same is being done to you.
Look, you know, the term false equivalence, you cannot compare what was going on in my time to this. In fact, General Musharraf's martial law was more liberal than what is happening right now. I mean, in our time, you can just name me which channel did we close? I mean, which journalists left the country? 4 of our top journalists have left the country. One, a fifth one, wrote a letter to the Supreme Court Chief Justice that his life was in danger. He escaped. He was killed in Kenya. Our best journalist right now, you know, Arshad Sharif, and best Imran Riaz, he's disappeared for 40 days.
Yes.
I mean, he's the,
and,
you know,
but Chairman
so you cannot compare what is...
I'm not going to dispute. I'm not going to dispute what's happening now. I'm very critical of what this government's done. It's not about equivalence, though. It's about that on your watch, you did a lot of these things. Maybe not as badly as the current government, but Reporters Without Borders, for example, they called you a press freedom predator in 2021. They criticized you at the time for threatening, abducting and torturing journalists. That happened on your watch. Hamid Mir, a very famous Pakistani journalist, he wrote just last month for The Guardian that when you were in office, he wasn't allowed on air, even though you had once called him a favorite anchor. So the problem is that a lot of this stuff did happen on your watch. You were not a champion of the free press. So people say, hold on, now you're saying it's bad when it happens against you.
Firstly, Mehdi, the only time that I found out about a journalist being picked up and disappeared was a guy called Matiullah Jan. The next day I got him back. The problems we had were we were at the tail end of the war on terror. And the establishment was very worried about any criticism about it. So they were responsible for a few guys who were picked up, but this was nothing compared to what's going on. The only thing what we tried to do was there was fake news on social media, and that was, you know, causing havoc because they would be slandering people and so on. That's the only thing we tried. But when there was opposition from the media, we didn't even bring those laws in. But again, I mean, there is no comparison what is happening right now. My name cannot be mentioned on media.
Hold on. When you were Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif's name couldn't be mentioned on air either. That's what your critics would say. You did the same thing to Nawaz Sharif.
Not at all. No, look, Nawaz Sharif was convicted by the Supreme Court. He then faked these illnesses and somehow managed to bring out these tests which said he was about to die. Then his brother gave an affidavit that he's just going 2 weeks for treatment to come back. A convict. He goes to England and suddenly all illnesses disappear, and then he starts giving lectures to Pakistan. He was a convict. You can't compare what was happening to me. I'm not convicted of anything.
But the media couldn't say his name. I'm no fan of Nawaz Sharif. I'm just saying his name couldn't be mentioned on air. We're almost out of time, but I got to ask, do you have any regrets about what you did in office, especially with the military, given what the military is now doing against you? What would you go back and do differently if you could? Last question.
Well, just firstly, given, you know, what happened after I came into power, I should have actually, with a weak coalition government, you know, I should not have taken power. I should have gone for elections again. And because you can't bring reforms and changes, and especially rule of law, if you have a weak government. And if I have to do it again, look, this hybrid system cannot work. If you are an elected prime minister, you must have the authority to implement your reforms. It cannot work that you have the responsibility because you're elected, but the authority is shared and the army chief has a veto power. This sort of system is doomed to failure. And Pakistan, what it faces right now, huge economic problems, the worst economic situation in our country. Unless we fix the governance system through rule of law, I'm afraid, you know, the country is on the edge of darkness.
There's no doubt there is a massive political and economic crisis in Pakistan right now. We appreciate you taking time out to speak to us, and I do hope you stay safe. Imran Khan, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, thank you.